So one of the questions I get asked a lot as an ace person is, are ace people queer? And I get this question a lot from people who are ace, but also people who aren't necessarily ace. And so it's a very complicated question. I don't think it's that complicated personally, but a lot of people have a lot of controversial opinions on it, and it's difficult. It's difficult to answer. It's especially hard to answer when you are a baby ace, somebody who is new to the community. Maybe you just started questioning your asexuality. Maybe you just don't know. But I am here. I have been in the ace community for a long time now, and I have a lot of people in the queer community, and so I feel qualified to answer this question. Now, if you don't agree with me, please be kind in the comments. But I believe that ace people are queer. And let me back that up for you. First things first, let's look at the word queer, because I think that's the most important word here. Obviously, queer is a term that has been used as a slur for many years against specifically homosexual people. It's been expanded in recent years, and I think mainly a lot of people are trying to reclaim that term into something positive. So from my perspective, I see it as a positive thing because it has not been used as a slur against me. And I understand that history, and I think it's important to acknowledge that because a lot of people act like we don't realize that, but like, I get it, I understand, I know the thing about slurs. But let's look at the term, let's look at the definition from Wikipedia. Queer is an umbrella term for sexual and gender minorities who are not heterosexual or are not cisgender. Now, obviously, I am not trans. I don't have that kind of identity. I'm cis. I get that. I understand. For a very long time, I identified as heteroromantic asexual, which is a very scary term for a lot of people in the LGBT community. A lot of people hear hetero in any kind of situation and they automatically just think they're straight. And I understand where they're coming from with that. But looking at this term again, one more time, it is an umbrella term for sexual and gender minorities who are not heterosexual. Not heterosexual. I don't know what's not clicking here with people. If you're asexual, you are not heterosexual. It doesn't matter your romantic orientation. It doesn't matter anything else. You are not heterosexual. And scene. That's the general idea. It's for sexual minorities. And I don't know if you know this, there's not a lot of ace people out there. I've been looking for them. They're really nowhere. They're not there. I think I read somewhere there's a statistic that it's about like 1% of people in the world are asexual, which is a lot of people, but it's really not in the grand scheme of things. I can't even guess a number, but it's basically like the same amount of people who have ginger hair are asexual. And like, you know, there's a decent amount of gingered hair people, but like not that many. So I would consider that a sexual minority personally. I don't know about you. So if we're going from technicality, and obviously there's different definitions of queer, but I think from that alone, ace people should exist in the queer community. Now, I understand that some ace people don't necessarily like using the term queer about themselves. Some people do. And that's great if they do. But a lot of people feel this intense fear as an ace person to identify as queer or LGBT or go to Pride or anything like that because there's a lot of gatekeeping in this community, which is upsetting because people have been gatekeeping homosexual people for a very long time. And so you would think that the homosexual community would be open to maybe bisexual people or pansexual people or asexual people or like however many other kinds of people there are. But that's just not true. There's a lot of people in the community who feel threatened by asexual people, and I don't understand why. And this happens with other minorities too. People feel threatened by bisexual and pansexual people all the time as well. It's not just an ace thing. But all of these sexual minorities often get pushed aside because they're not gay enough. But if you look at the flip side, we're also not straight enough. So it's very difficult to find a place in this community, in the world. Not to say that it's easier or harder to be any type of sexual minority, because I think all of us have different types of struggles. And I understand that ace people have not been oppressed like homosexual people have in the past. But it is really, really frustrating when you think you belong in a community because you're not straight, because you don't fit in with straight people and you don't fit in with the allosexual, allonormative lifestyle, but you also don't necessarily fit in with the homosexual lifestyle. And so it's this big jumbled mess of I don't fit anywhere, where do I fit? Which am I most like, even though I'm like neither of them? And personally, I believe we fit more in with the queer community because we're not straight. What's not clicking here? What's not clicking? And I think honestly, a lot of it does come down to who we're dating at the time. If you're not dating somebody of the same sex, it can often be very alienating. I know this happens a lot with bisexual people, where if they're in a relationship with somebody of the opposite sex, people automatically assume they're straight. and then assume they're not gay enough to be a part of the queer community. And that's a whole nother discussion we can have another time. Obviously, I'm not bi, so I can't really speak on their experience. But I know for me, it can be really, really frustrating because I don't identify with straight people. Like, straight people are not my people. They're very involved in sex, and they're very involved in the opposite sex, and I don't, that's not me, that's not where I am, you know? And I feel more of a kinship towards the queer community, towards LGBT people, because I am a minority and I don't really exist in public spaces all the time. There's not really a lot of media catered toward me. I haven't seen a movie with a real ace person as far as I can tell. There's definitely not been like an ace coming out movie before that I've seen. And so I have I have a lot of the cons of being in the queer community where I don't have the representation that I want. But I do have that straight passing privilege that a lot of people just assume I'm straight because I haven't dated anybody. And it's really, really frustrating. That's a whole nother thing. I can go off on that for a very long time. But my point is this: you exist in the queer community if you are ace. A lot of people will try and take that from you. A lot of people are into gatekeeping, and that's a whole other thing. But I think it's important to know, if you're not confident in your asexuality and you are not confident in being in the queer community, you don't have to be in that space. It took me a very long time to decide to go to Pride and to be out and open and to be confident in this community. And a lot of that comes down to my friends. I have a lot of friends in the community. Most of my friends are bisexual or gay or whatever. And they have been really, really helpful in, one, giving me a place in the community, and also just like confirming that I belong there. And so it took me a very long time to be comfortable with that. I still don't necessarily call myself queer. I don't think that really fits me. Sometimes it does, but most of the time it really doesn't. And so I think if you're not there yet, don't freak out. Don't feel like you have to be a part of it. But if you want to be a part of it, you have a place. Like, I will make a place for you because I have a place and I'm here to bring you with me. And it's really disheartening when people in the queer community try and gatekeep it, because we're all just trying to vibe. We're all just trying to put down straight people. I'm just kidding. We're not like that. But you get what I'm saying. We're all in this together. Like, we can be nice to each other. Ace people are not straight. Doesn't matter what their romantic tendencies are. Let's just put that to bed. That is my final answer on the subject. If you have questions, if you want to discuss it with me, I'm totally open to talking in the comments, but please be kind. We're all just vibing on this earth.